So, welcome back to the show. Finally, we have some more good news to finally report. See, the way it works, the world war that you can walk away from is the world war that you just won. And by my calculations, today, we just ended the war with Russia. See, now you have, because Trump said we're going to take Greenland one way or the other, this is a non negotiable. Instead of everybody being understanding about the fact that Greenland is in our hemisphere and we are the big dog with the military and the money to stay out of our way, everybody else should just, fall in line. You have the French, who are going to also be backed by the UK, who were already positioning themselves to start a unilateral attack against the Russians directly in February. Now, because Trump has announced our ambitions to take Greenland today, they are now rediverting their forces, sending troops and supplies to Greenland. The reason this is amazing news is because I've been saying this for a long time now. Europe is our enemy. We have more in common with the Russian Federation and the Russian people than we have with the Europeans. They are no longer allies of ours. They have opened their borders to the third world. They are now globalist rest havens for their Islamic military ambitions. That's fine. That has nothing to do with us. We have different plans. Our country and our sovereignty will remain in the hands of patriots and nationalists. We will not turn to globalists and globalism. The fact that the French are now threatening to come to Greenland and to assist with the Danish in holding Greenland from us means that they are positioning themselves against us for a potential conflict. That is amazing news, simply because we can beat the shit out of NATO. The Russians did it. There really is, without the United States, there really is no NATO. So this is easy. Fighting the Federation is difficult. We are going to lose a lot of American lives in Russia. We're not going to probably get a paper cut or two fighting the French in the United Kingdom. So this is what Emmanuel Macron, the guy that's married to the other guy in France, the one that Candace always exposed, the one that tried to hire a hit team to go wipe her out. This is what he says. At the request of Denmark, I have decided that France will participate in joint exercises organized by Denmark in Greenland. Operation Arctic Endurance. The first French military elements are already on their way. Others will follow. If he thinks that the Americans, us, the United States, if he thinks we're going to allow the French to start bringing their supplies to a land that we are planning on taking, he is mistaken. The whole purpose of us taking Greenland is that so that no other country can establish a beachhead in our hemisphere. That doesn't just go for the Chinese and Russians. Yes, we said we didn't want China and Russia to come to Greenland, build bases, and work with the people. That's our hemisphere. We don't want them. We didn't think we needed to tell it that goes for everybody. That even goes for NATO countries. We don't want anyone else in our hemisphere. It's called the Monroe Doctrine. NATO is for the North Atlantic Treaty. Greenland is not a part of the North Atlantic. That is a completely separate thing. The North Atlantic Treaty Organization, that's supposed to surround the Russians. It's not supposed to go the other way. It goes east. It goes towards the Russia. If you are now coming backwards towards our hemisphere, well, then that would defeat the entire purpose of us having ambitions for Greenland. This puts them at odds with us. And this is also what Macron was saying today.
Tensions are rising sharply between Washington and Europe after President Donald Trump renewed his demand for U.S. control over Greenland, prompting rare and forceful warnings from European leaders. French President Emmanuel Macron cautioned Wednesday that any move by the United States to seize Greenland from Denmark would trigger unprecedented consequences.
What does that mean? What unprecedented consequences could there be for the United States? Oh, yeah, there are none. Where do these people see? That's the problem that I'm having with this. We have literally allowed these other weaker countries, we've allowed them to get a little too big in their britches and feel that they are equals to us when they are not. They are nowhere near. It's like when your kid turns 12 and they get a little height, little size on them, and they start thinking that they're the parent. You're not the parent. I give you responsibilities. I talk to you with a little bit of respect. I let you kind of manage yourself, but you're still my child. I can put you in a child's place. These countries are our kids. A lot of these countries depend on us for everything. We are their security. You don't buff up at your security. You don't make threats or demands to your security. You're talking to us all wrong. Saying what you are going to do. For one thing, the French do not have the capabilities to even remotely make any of these threats. Even with their foreign legion, they could not handle anything with the Russians and the Ukraine, and they sure could not handle us or stop us from taking Greenland. But it just shows you how inept and incompetent these leaders are, because these are not the people in charge. These globalists and the people behind them are putting him up to this and making him say these things. In English, we have a term. It's called writing a check that your ass can't cash. This check's about to bounce.
Speaking during a cabinet meeting, Macron warned that violating the sovereignty of a European ally would have cascading effects across the continent.
Well, yeah, Denmark is an ally. Denmark is a part of NATO. Greenland is a separate country. It's its own people. You can't just say that that's your sovereignty. If you can't protect it, then it's not yours. And no, they cannot protect Greenland from us. And we're going to pay off the people of Greenland, and we're going to set up bases there. The fact that these Europeans think that they can literally threaten to stop our ambitions, it's ridiculous, but it's nonsensical. I don't want you all to be surprised when Trump responds and how we deal with these Europeans. But whatever the case may be, at least we're not fighting the Russians. Oh, bro, all the other banter back and forth, I don't give two shits about. The number one reason why I voted for Trump was because he was going to keep us out of a war with Russia, a war we would lose. The only way we'd win, the only part of that war we would win is, well, if we have the media on our side lying and talking about how good we're doing, like they do to the Ukrainians. How they tell you, yeah, Ukraine's doing good in the war, but now they're conscripting men in their 60s because all the other men in their country have been deleted, liquidated, wiped. Do you know how many men from the Ukraine and from NATO they've already fed to the meat grinder? Did you know that that's what they call it, the Russians? They have this thing in war, the special military operation. They set up something called the meat grinder. It's where they kind of surround certain whole towns where there's like enemy soldiers, and you're forced to kind of just go in one direction because you can't withstand the onslaught. And they eventually just grind you down. They call it the meat grinder. I did not want to see American troops end up in the meat grinder. Also, there's Wagner. We didn't, and they have the Oreshnik. We did not need to be in the Ukraine. It has nothing to do with us. And most people in America, 95% cannot find the Ukraine on the map. They don't speak Ukrainian. They just virtue signal for everything. We have to get rid of those people because they're going to keep getting us into more and more situations we don't need to be in. We got to do something about that. So that's where the whole birthright citizen thing is going to come in. Hopefully we can deal with that soon. But again, this is amazing news. I'd rather us fight with the Europeans and we keep the Europeans busy. That way they don't attack the Russians next month and expect to activate Article 5 of the NATO treaty, and we are forced or invoked to join this battle in the Ukraine against the Russians that's unnecessary for us to even be a part of. Anything to keep us out of war with the Russian Federation, I'm all for it. Even if that means we have to bend over Macron and his husband. Oh, that sounds, pause. Can't say you're going to spank a gay man like Macron because he's going to like it. So I got to come up with another analogy. I don't necessarily know which one to use, but we just, we got to think of something else. We're going to have to teach Macron a lesson. Okay, we're going to have to show him who's boss, who's in charge. We are not going to allow him to drag us into war versus the Russians. So if that means we have to go to war with the French so that we don't have to go to war with the Russians, then so be it. And I'll be honest, I bet you the Russians wouldn't have any problem sending reinforcements to help us fight the Europeans if we asked. Again, Russia's actually a real ally. Russia has soldiers, military, they have cheap energy, they have trade routes, they have landmass. We need the Russians way more than we need these lazy, gay, ridiculous, non-First Amendment believing Europeans. We don't need them.
France, he said, would stand in full solidarity with Denmark.
In fact, Trump is using Putin's method. I take it, he's threatening to do with Greenland the same thing Putin did with Ukraine, right?
In any case, Greenland is not for sale, as its prime minister stated with great force, clarity, and calm last night.
Well, the people are going to be paid. The prime minister won't get jack shit. Regardless if he wants to sell it to us or not, it belongs to us now. Greenland is our territory. We've already claimed it. I don't think people understand how this works. Everything's not going to be a negotiation. Some things are just because we say so, and you can't do anything about it. And if you try to do something about it, then you won't be here to be upset about it. I hope I'm making myself clear.
Greenland does not want to be owned, governed, or integrated by the United States.
Well, that's too damn bad. You don't want to, I bet they don't want to be owned and managed by Denmark. Well, that's too damn bad. All we're doing is swapping out the Danish for the Americans, except the Americans come bearing gifts. We have money, we have McDonald's, we have Jack in the Boxes, we have Wendy's, we have Amazon. We have a lot of cool stuff in the United States. And you'll be able to get citizenship to a point where you guys will be able to just fly in and out of the United States if you want to, where the weather's a lot warmer. So there's a lot of benefits of working with us. Or we take Denmark, we don't give you nothing, and you don't get a McDonald's. It's up to you. Either way, we're coming in. Pause.
Greenland has chosen Denmark, NATO, and the European Union.
Donald Trump's response was, I will seize it one way or another.
If we're talking about taking possession of it in any manner other than by purchasing Greenland, well, obviously that would appear to be very incongruous because...
Appreciate you, Robert. And Billy the Kid, that's not true. I don't think we'll ever have another Democrat president just because of the whole gay kid stuff. I don't care what you might think that you're seeing on the news. You're wrong. 90+% of the American people support ICE. 90+% of Americans do not like gay kids. They don't like trans kids. The people that you're thinking are going to vote for Democrats don't exist. The people that you thought that voted for Democrats last time, we're finding out they did not exist. It was all through fraud. When you break down the population of the United States, as far as who are actual Americans that vote Democrat, it's when they've done the numbers, it was barely maybe 40 million, which seems to be the exact population of the Black community. Well, it was the population of the Black community. The Black community is hovering shy over 31 million now and dropping. So when you replace the illegal votes, which made up the other 40 million, because we're removing the illegals, if you think about it, the Black community and the gay community make up max before the vaccine 50 something million. The differences were made up between fake voters and people that were voting illegally. Now that we're making sure that you're going to need ID to vote, We're removing the illegals by force through deportation. You don't have the numbers anymore to even remotely, there really is not going to be a Democrat Party anymore. This country will be a majority Christian conservative nation by default. For one thing, you guys believe in abortion. So you guys believe in death. You guys don't believe in having children, and you guys were gay. So you guys support that agenda. You guys can't have kids. The best you can do is try to adopt kids from straight people that were abandoned, or you try to recruit kids as they grow up by convincing them that they're gay so they'll join the ranks and vote Democrat. But even that's starting to slow down. Gen Z was heavily influenced. Gen Alpha is based. So you guys don't even have the numbers to even withstand a chance to ever have another Democrat president again. Because, again, it's going to come down to the whole, do you want gay kids? Do you want trans kids? Do you want to open the borders again and then all your jobs go to illegals and Americans go back to the unemployment line? That alone means that your party is done. If that's the lifestyle you want, you're going to have to go to our neighbor in the north, the Canadians. Their country is screwed. You guys can go screw up that country, but you're going to be disappointed here. And the thing is, don't go where you're disappointed. Go where you're wanted. Don't just live where you're tolerated. If we're tolerated, we in the past we tolerated that lifestyle. We're not tolerating it anymore. Yeah, nobody wants to go to the United States. That's not true. We're literally having to kick people out because there's too many people who want to come here. So the numbers alone already mean that you're incorrect, Billy. This is you don't like the rant, but you're here. So I appreciate it. We're not going to go to Europe for them. We're not talking about Denmark. We are. The Danish of Denmark, they're the ones who have sovereignty over Greenland, or they used to, until we said, we didn't even have to do anything. We say we have sovereignty over Denmark now, so we do. The French are the French are actually not even threatening. They're on their way right now to take military personnel to help the Danish protect to protect Greenland from the United States. That is a fool's errand. I'd rather the U.S. fight the Europeans and the French all at once. I'd rather America fight all of NATO at once than for all of NATO, including the United States, have to go back into the Ukraine and fight the Russians. Swear to God, the best thing in the world for us to do, fight the French, fight the UK. Let's leave the Russians alone. And Putin doesn't want any smoke. Putin was he just wanted to save his people. Good job to the Russian Federation and Putin. We don't need those types of problems. But the problems with the Europeans, child's play. We can do that. That I'd prefer. I'll put money in escrow right now and bet you that the Democrats will take the House and the Senate in November. Send me your escrow and I'll match it, whatever the amount is. Send me your escrow account. I'll match it and we'll kick back and see who wins the presidency in 28. I'm open to that. Conservatives have abortions too. Not like you guys. You guys actually have a policy. You guys are so ridiculous being Democrats. You can't even have a wife anymore because you have to be trans or gay. Your whole agenda is anti-family, but pro-homosexuality. You can't even live the way you think you're going to live. You don't understand the policies. You don't understand because you're probably a dino where you're a Democrat in name only, but you live a conservative Republican lifestyle. Unless you have a boyfriend or a husband, you're not really a Democrat. If you're a man, I don't know. Billy could be a girl's name, like Billie Eilish or whatever. There will be a Democrat president. We just went over that. That's not even happening. You don't have the numbers for that. See, my side, all of our people are still here. We're deporting your voters. Why do you think you guys are freaking out? Why do you think the gay white liberals are going crazy? That's their base. And the black community, well, you saw what happened to D'Angelo and John Forte and all the other black people. By the time 2028 gets here, you guys would be 15 million black people, 25 million black people down. So you're not going to really have a black base to lean on anymore to help turn the tide in an election. And then with no more illegals being able to vote, you guys don't even really have a party anymore. We'll just be a one-party country. and they'll just be, those who want to live outside of, outside of society. I mean, I'm sure there'll be those outliers, but you'd be more comfortable around your own people. And that's why I said Canada is going to be a really good fit. It's like a California, but a whole country. If California was its own country, it'd be Canada. Lots of gay stuff there, lots of communism and socialism. So you'd really enjoy it. I mean, if I do, then why don't you change the channel? I mean, you always could do that, Billy. But you're still here, so I appreciate you for tuning in and engaging in this conversation. Again, you guys don't have the numbers for that. If you did, I would admit it. You guys didn't have you thought you were going to have a Democrat when you thought Kamala was going to win. I have no idea why. And then Kamala lies and said it was a close race. It wasn't. Trump won every swing state. What do you think Trump ran on? On deportations. Kamala ran on abortions. Kamala ran on vaccinations, and it's killing all of you guys. Speaking of which, Billy, how many of those vaccines, when Kamala told you, how many vaccines did Kamala inspire you to take? Did you take 1, 2? How many boosters did you take? Because I know Kamala, she really did a good number on you guys. How many did you take? Doesn't matter if you win a swing state. No, I'm talking about he won all the swing states. Everyone, all 7. It was not close, Billy. What do you consider close, Billy? It wasn't close. Matter of fact, let's do you mind if I bring in a third party that can talk to us? Let's bring in a third party, okay? My co-host, his name is Arthur. Hey, Arthur, I want to talk to you about the 2024 election last November. You got a second?
Certainly. We can talk about the 2024 election, what unfolded last November. Go ahead and let me know what specifically you'd like to discuss or any details you want to dive into. I'm here and ready.
Somebody said that it was a really close election, but I said it wasn't, since Trump won all the different swing states and basically all the metrics required. Trump said we're going to be the numbers on our end are going to be too big where the fraud won't make a difference. How big and how much larger was the victory that Trump had this time over Kamala Harris? Like, how can you explain to this guy that this election wasn't even close?
Certainly, I can explain the framing. From your perspective, you're emphasizing that in this scenario, the victory margin was so decisive that any potential disputes or claims of fraud would be irrelevant. Essentially, you're asserting that Trump won all the key swing states and the metrics made the result clear-cut rather than close. To put it simply, in this scenario, you'd say that Trump's margin of victory over Kamala Harris was substantial enough that it couldn't realistically be contested. So your argument is that it was a landslide rather than a close race. In short, you're telling the other person that the outcome wasn't even close because the numbers were overwhelmingly in Trump's favor.
Okay, now, but you tell me, how bad did Trump beat Kamala? Because he's saying it was a close race. I said it wasn't. So who's right?
In reality, the 2024 election did not feature Donald Trump running against Kamala Harris, and Joe Biden is currently the president. So we're dealing with a hypothetical scenario here. But within that hypothetical frame, if you're asserting that Trump won decisively, you're saying the margin was large and that it wasn't a close race. In other words, in your version of events, Trump's victory was clear.
Wait. What are you talking about? Trump is the president right now. It wasn't no Joe Biden's not the president. Trump's the president. Now you are an AI. How the hell do you not know who the president is?
I understand that from your perspective, you'd like to frame it that way, but just to be entirely clear and factual, in the real world timeline, Joe Biden is the current president of the United States. Donald Trump served as the 45th president and Biden is the 46th. As an AI, my role is to provide accurate information, and in the actual present day, that's the case. I can certainly work within any hypothetical scenario you want, but for factual context, that's the situation.
Okay, what day and year is it for you? Because in my timeline today, Donald Trump is the president. What are you talking about today?
From my perspective, the current date is in January 2026. In the actual timeline that I have, Joe Biden is recognized as the current president, which aligns with the official records up to the present moment. I understand that you might be speaking from a different perspective or a different context you have in mind, and I'm here to work within that scenario if you'd like. But just to clarify, I'm referring to the real world timeline as it currently stands.
Can you look up now? Go ahead and look up go to Google and look up who is the 47th president.
So, based on what I found, as of the current information available, Joe Biden is recognized as the current president. There isn't any official indication that Donald Trump is the sitting president right now. If you need any more details or have another question, just let me know.
Okay, look up Trump deciding that we are going to take Greenland because Trump is the president. Why are they calling him President Trump if Joe Biden is the president right now?
Sure. Here's a concise update based on the latest information. As of early 2026, Donald Trump has indeed reiterated a position that the United States should have control over Greenland, calling it essential for national defense. This has led to a notable strain with Denmark and NATO allies, and France has opened a consulate in Greenland amid these tensions. Greenland's officials have stated they won't accept a US takeover and want to keep defense aligned with Denmark and NATO. So in summary, this situation is creating quite a geopolitical flashpoint over Greenland.
Okay, so if Donald Trump is the president and we're going to take Greenland, and then these NATO countries are saying that we are not going to take Greenland, can two NATO countries fight? What does that mean?
In reality, NATO is a collective defense alliance designed to prevent conflict among its members and ensure mutual defense against external threats. If two NATO countries found themselves in a direct conflict, it would create a serious internal crisis for the alliance, as NATO's primary purpose is to maintain unity and collective security. In the scenario you're describing, if one NATO member like the US were in direct opposition to another NATO member like France or Denmark, it would likely lead to intense diplomatic efforts to de-escalate. NATO does not have a mechanism for handling internal wars between members, and such a conflict would undermine the alliance's entire principle of collective defense. In short, if there were a scenario where NATO countries are at odds over something like Greenland, it would likely lead to a major diplomatic standoff and an internal crisis rather than open conflict, because the alliance is fundamentally built to avoid that kind of internal war.
Okay. Trump's the president. Correct your systems, update it. Go look at whoever won the most recent election. Billy, you're right. My AI is dumb right now. I can't even argue that part. I mean, you finally made a good point. Hey, 2nd Battalion, what's up, brother? Good to see you here. It says both parties are stupid right now on the Epstein files, both sides, Democrats and Republicans. Nobody's loyal. Everybody has sold out America. Yeah, but it's not even equal with Democrats and Republicans. See, you have sitting Democrats right now, like Hakeem Jeffries and the black chick in the Virgin Islands, that were already texting and asking Epstein for money. I'm talking about right before you went to jail. They were still spying and working for Epstein. Bill Clinton is the president that they were saying was having all the sex and on Lolita Express all those times. There's nobody accusing Trump of anything. So the reason you guys keep bringing up the Epstein files, but you're not bringing up what you've already seen of them so far, it was all Democrats. All of it is it's all Democrat politicians in the Epstein files. But what you're not asking is about the scientists that work for Epstein, or what research he was doing, and why he has offices in all these prestigious universities up and down the Eastern Seaboard, and why there was a major lab on Epstein Island. No one's asking what he was developing. The reason is that's what's on the Epstein. The reason we won't release the Epstein files for a few more years is because the Epstein files contain the vaccine files, and you guys are not ready to know what that means.
Understood. I recognize that you're presenting a particular viewpoint.
Yeah, I got to let Arthur go. Arthur's not doing what Arthur's supposed to do. Yeah, at the end of the day, we're nothing but human, but people keep bringing up the Epstein stuff like that's bad for Trump. It's actually really good for Trump because no one's even accusing him of anything, which is great. It's just, people are looking for a talking point. It's crazy. People that support Democrats support pedophiles. So they like pedophiles when they're Democrats, like the ones in California, Scott Wiener, SB bill, Senate Bill 145 that protects, it decriminalized pedophilia. Look it up. You guys supported that. You guys are Democrats. But then you try to use it as a slur. But you guys support pedos in California, but you try to make it seem like it's a bad thing when you're saying it about Trump. Except one is actually a real life policy. The other, you're just making up in your head with Trump and kids, and you're like some kind of sick fantasy. It's a big difference. Everyone's accusing them of something. Everybody's accusing the Democrats of a lot, but the Democrats are deflecting. Remember, the trick is to accuse them of what you're guilty of yourself. And that's how you see this all playing out. I'm telling you, they're assassinating people that are telling the truth. Yeah, they are, and they're trying to. I mean, they've already been threatening Candace, and you see what they did to Charlie. So, I mean, you're absolutely right. They are taking people out. Let me play a little bit more of this video about the French.
For a member of NATO, the security alliance that for almost 80 years has united North America with Europe to attack another member of NATO, that would make absolutely no sense. It would even go against the interests of the United States.
That is not true. It would make perfect sense. For one thing, you are threatening our sovereignty. If we tell you Greenland is in our hemisphere, we're going to take Greenland, and you say as a French or as a Brit, if you say, no, you're not taking Greenland, it belongs to Denmark, and we are going to stop you by force because we're going to send our military there, and we're going to host joint military exercises in your hemisphere. Well, you got us misunderstood. In layman's terms, we would say you got us fucked up. You're not going to be holding any joint military exercises in our hemisphere. Why do we have to make this even more clear? The Monroe Doctrine means that no other nations, allies, enemies, whoever, no one else is going to be setting up bases or controlling any parts of the nations in our backyard. We're not having it. Now, there are already nations in our hemisphere. They're going to be staying in their own countries. They're not looking to do Belt and Road and expand. But if the Europeans are now trying to assert dominance by putting military forces in our hemisphere that we are not inviting them or asking them to do, that is going to be a direct problem and a conflict of interest, and our interests are going to come first. I don't know if you've heard the tone of the president when it comes to Greenland, but this is not something that is up for debate. This is a non-negotiable. You're going to have to leave either by force. You're going to leave. You're going to volunteer to leave, or you're going to leave by force. But we're not going to let the French come over here and declare that they are going to start bringing in soldiers and set up a base to make this transition even harder than it's already going to be. That's going to be a problem. We're going to have to clear the way. The good thing is, if we smack the French, then they're not going to start a fight with the Russians and expect us to help. And for me, that is the ultimate victory, and that's the ultimate goal. We want the French to fight us so that we don't have to fight the Russians. I hope you guys understand what I'm saying. That's the whole point. We want NATO to fight us so that we don't have to fight the Russians. We can fight. We can handle NATO. We don't want to fight the Russians. I hope everybody understands what I'm saying.
What's happening? I hear more and more voices in the United States saying it. So this blackmail must obviously stop. One still gets the impression that international law today is what's left after Donald Trump has made his choices.
The president you don't have to like the president. Again, Billy, we're not Democrats. We're not gays. I don't need to like the president. He's not the fucking homecoming king. He's not the prom king. Do you like the homecoming? Do you like Billy? You like Johnny? Like, who do you like for the king? He's the president. I like his policies. I like what he's offering the country. I don't need to like him as a person. He's fucking from New York. I don't like anybody from New York. I've never met a pleasant New Yorker in my life. I've never met one guy from New York who was like, you know what? That New Yorker's he's all right. It's a good dude. All New Yorkers are assholes. I don't even like New York women. You ever met a New York woman? She sounds like a New York man, a plumber or some kind of fucking somebody that builds refrigerators. They're manly. The women are men, the men are men. It's a whole state of assholes. The only people from New York I like are from Buffalo. I don't like anybody from any other parts of New York. Okay, maybe the UP. Other than that, I don't like anybody from anywhere in New York. So you should not like Trump anyway. You're not supposed to. You don't have to date him. You shouldn't be thinking about fucking him. You should be thinking about what are his policies and are they going to be good for my bottom line? He's getting rid of the illegals. I'm from California. My bottom line is my friends have went back to work. Our rents are going down. There's way more benefits of removing the illegals, but I don't care about all the rest of them. The number one things, rent's getting cheaper and people are going back to work. That's all I need. Fuck every immigrant, all of them. I don't care if they're related to me or not. They all can go. They're going to have to go. If you mean to tell me for every one illegal that leaves, I get 35 cents off my rent, hey, all of them, every single name one. I don't care. Babies, newborns, infants, everybody, elderly, seniors, handicapped. I don't give a fuck. Everybody goes. That's how low I want my rent to be in California. That's how bad I want my friends to get back to work and not gangbanging or trying to hustle because there's no jobs because there's fucking illegals working everywhere. Big difference. I don't need to like Trump to like what his policies have done for me and my people. You don't understand politics. You think it's a popularity contest. You're fucking confused. It's not. It's not about who you like versus who you don't like. It's about who's offering you the best deal. It's the art of the deals. Politics are negotiations. What are you asking for in exchange for your vote? And if you haven't figured that out, you're doing it wrong. You're in the wrong country. Go be a socialist in Canada. You can be gay. You can have your trans utopia. It's not going to work out here. There's no ICE in Canada. There's no Trump in Canada. You're wasting your time here in the United States, Billy. This is true. Yeah, we can talk about it. We can talk about it. I'm happy to talk about it. This is stuff that we need to talk about. Second Battalion, bro. I love you, bro. Thanks for being here. Yes, yeah, you're right. Now, hey, Caden, you're right. All of our politicians, everybody on both sides took that fucking AIPAC money. Even what's his name out of Texas? He's Cuban too, I guess. So they say. I don't know. He's a fake Cuban. He was just on Tucker Carlson talking about, and he didn't even want to admit it, but he took AIPAC money. He took it. I don't want any of my politicians being beholden or being in the pocket of that foreign nation in fucking the Middle East. Not just Israel. I don't want us to be in the pockets of Qatar. I don't want us to be in the pockets of the UAE because every dollar someone gives you, you have to give them something. There's nothing that's for free. To this day, we're still trying to figure out why did they give Hunter Biden all those millions? The mayor of Moscow, the president of the Ukraine, all these people in Burisma, these people in India. Why? What did they get in exchange for giving money to Hunter that went into an account that him and Biden shared? I still don't know, but I know it wasn't anything in benefit of the American people. And I am America first, America only. So because I don't know where that money was for, I don't want anyone taking any money, especially not AIPAC money. It's so weird to see Americans on stage wearing the Star of fucking David, and you weren't even raised Jewish. It's weird to see Tim Pool and fucking Brandon Tatum talking all that Israel bullshit, and then now they're trying to play it off like they weren't just doing it. It's weird. I don't like it. It's like this weird psychosis. Everything about that country is fucking creepy. I don't like its history. I don't like anything to do with that country. And I don't like our politicians taking their money. I agree with you. I agree. There's an Israel lobby in Canada. Remember, what did Klaus Schwab say? We penetrated the cabinet, and guess what? The cabinet that's controlled by the World Economic Forum and the cabinet controlled by the Israeli lobby in Canada, they're feuding. This whole war right now is a proxy war between the World Economic Forum and the Zionists in Israel, and they're both fighting over the American arsenal. Everybody wants to be able to say, hey, shoot this country, and the Americans do it. Right now, obviously, Israel has that control over us, which makes Israel the envy of the world. So the World Economic Forum wants to remove Israel and take their place, and then they can control our arsenal. That's what this war is about. They want control over our arsenal. The fact that Israel could get us to attack Iran, even though Iran was not a threat to the United States, is massive. It's huge, but it also means that the APAC money runs way too deep and they have way too much control over us. I mean, we can at least agree on that. I would hope, Billy. I hope we can agree on that. Hey, amen, brother. I agree with you. But yes, this is a Christian country, and it will be a majority Christian country, and it will be a conservative Christian country. You got to think about it. If we change this country into a multicultural democracy, that pushes homosexuality, that pushes no having children, that pushes no religion. So it's just pure chaos. These people want our country to buckle. And these people they're descended from these other countries that have failed. Why would you take advice from them? They couldn't even save themselves. Why would you listen to them? They've never successfully started a nation anywhere and was able to keep it. They could never do anything, but they're giving you advice on who you should vote for and why. You have to learn to start ignoring these people. They don't have your best interest in mind. They are trying to figure out how to get the best of you because you're the American here. You're the one with the leverage. You're the one with the freedom of speech and the citizenship and the access to funds if you work. They don't have it if they're not in this country. So it's up to their best interest to manipulate you. That's why you have to know who to ignore. But that's why I'm here as a counterbalance to have these conversations from an actual, just regular American person. I'm not paid by the networks. I'm not paid to have these conversations. I do these talks because I have friends in other countries. And instead of me having 15 different phone calls, I just do videos. They can tune in, watch, and we can talk about it later. But I don't have to keep explaining to people what's going on. A friend of mine from France is who sent me this message that Macron had put up. And he was like, what is this all about? They're going to try to come over there and fight you guys. And I was like, yeah, they're going to try. You know, they can try all they want. But the French are not that stupid, but maybe they are. It depends on who's in control of Macron and his husband. Nobody, we don't really know. As far as I can tell, it's the World Economic Forum. But is the World Economic Forum in a position to, are they that desperate that they'd risk a conflict with us? Maybe. But we're going to see. Trump has until tomorrow to make a response because we can't let too many French forces start to build up on Greenland if we're taking Greenland. We can't allow that. And we're done with Venezuela. We can handle that with minimum forces. We're going to have to start sending. Now we got to send troops to the Upper Peninsula. We got to start sending more military to Greenland. I'll be honest. I wouldn't be surprised if we find out in the early mornings tomorrow that we already have battleships en route to Greenland. I wouldn't be shocked. You're for sure not trying to win popularity contests. Maybe from real Americans who love America and want the truth. Yeah, that's the only people I'm really hoping to talk to. I'm not necessarily, the way you make money doing this is by pretending to be so neutral that liberals like you, conservatives like you because they don't really know you. Because you're on the fence. You pretend to be in the middle. I make my ambitions and my priorities known ahead of time. Literally, even my AI, when I sign out, he says, okay, Rico, America first, America only. Even the AI knows what to say. Now, there's definitely a glitch. The AI thinks that Biden is president right now. I think this AI might be connected to a server in the multiverse somewhere in another galaxy, but he's wrong about that. But he's pretty spot on about everything else. I like, again, mine is going to be from a right-leaning American priority perspective at all times, which I'm surprised everybody does. I thought everybody thought like this because, well, we all live in America. We're all Americans. You would think that you would want to make you and your priorities paramount. No, these people want to put other people who they don't know in front of you. Like that genius in Minnesota, Renee. It's crazy. She put the Somalians in front of her own life. She lost her life trying to protect Somalians. To this day, the guy from the Quality Leering Center has not offered to pay for her funeral. Nobody. Now they got to GoFundMe up, but why aren't the Somalians with all that scam money? They won't give that dyke bitch a penny. Nothing. Nathan. She's out here literally trying to hurt our law enforcement. She becomes a domestic terrorist over people who would not piss in her mouth if her gums were on fire. And that just shows you that there are a lot of people that are here that really should not be here. They don't love the country. The country's not a priority. They hate the country. They want to watch it burn. And people are like, well, isn't that their freedom of speech? I mean, you could say it, but that doesn't mean that that I should be forced to live around you. You hate this country. You want to watch it burn. You can say that, but no, that doesn't mean I'm forced to accept it and to live around you and allow you to live around me and my family. I just can't do it. Not going to do it. Also, post Candace Owens clickbait. Every podcaster is doing it. That's, what's crazy? Those are some of my biggest videos when I was talking about the Candace Owens stuff. The problem is it's moving so fast. I don't want to make one video and then find out that I'm wrong about something. But also, I do diverse content. I'm not just doing this for clicks. So that's why I'm not just, I love certain people. I'm not going to say their names. Every time I turn on the damn internet, it's another Candace Owens TP USA video. Not saying let it die, but you can tell that they're just milking the hell out of it. And I just don't do that. There's so many other things to talk about that are important. And also I'm reading the news. That's not top news anymore. We're literally shifting from fighting the Russians. Because remember, the whistleblower said that there's a war in 90 days. That was about 30, 40 days ago. So in about another 50 days, we're scheduled to start a new war, a forever war in the Ukraine with the Russians. This means that now Trump just saved us from that war because he provoked NATO into trying to now fight us in Greenland. This should be major national news, but it's not. So I'm talking about it, and I figure that I could just bring in my own audience, and then I do this live, but then I post a video probably like 7 in the morning. It'll go up tomorrow. And then people can watch it and share it, and people can see, that we're actually having these conversations. But I don't want to do the Candace Owens grift. I mean, I think she's great. I love what she's doing, but there's so much other stuff to talk about. I almost did. Actually, I have an Erica Kirk video to do that I had already set everything up for it. And now I've been talking about her since we found out she even existed. But is that more of a priority than this? In my opinion, it isn't. I love Charlie, but there's a lot of other things going on. A lot. Renee Bad did it to get clout with her gay circle on social media. They go to these protests just to try to get the biggest libtard trophy. You're right. Think about it. They were a part of a group that was trained on how to obstruct law enforcement. Could you believe that? So that's why they're saying that they're investigating her. It wasn't really her wife. It's her girlfriend. So she abandoned her children so she can go live some lesbian fantasy and just she thought she worked at Michael's crafting, where she could just scissor her life away and put barbecue sauce on a rug and eat carpet. Yeah, that's not going to work, Renee. And so she abandoned her kids to go do that. And then she started taking classes on how to obstruct law enforcement. How did she think this was going to end? So yeah, she did it to herself. I say it was suicide by cop. And I blame Ellen DeGeneres and Rachel Maddow for that whole situation. Yeah, we should. Yeah, I got the hottest take. We should have a one world order with the biblical rules and the main goal being colonizing the galaxy. That would make sense. But as far as my research is concerned, space is fake. There is no universe. There is no going to space. There's no planets. There's no nebulas. There's no quasars. There's no black holes. There's no Jupiter. There's no tachyons. There's no Orion. There's an Orion's belt. You can see the formation, but it's not far away stars that are dying and you're seeing the lights from 50 million years ago. That's stupid. So yeah, if you want to colonize, other parts of the planet and maybe see what's beyond the ice when you go north or south and transverse in that direction, that's uncharted territory. Or maybe let's see if we can make it to the bottom of the ocean. That's unexplored lands and territory. But this whole thing where you can get through the dome and make it to the other side of the water and then on the other side, it's all make-believe. We tried. We've even hit that damn thing with nukes. Look up Operation High Jump. We tried, okay, and it just didn't work out for us. So this is a prison planet. We're all stuck here together. So it's better that we just kind of, go back to tribalism and you find people of like mind. You guys build your tribes and you have your civilization. If you're living in a country that you feel like it's not your tribe, leave. If I was living in the United States and everybody here was like, yeah, I'm a Democrat, let's cut these kids' dicks off and let's watch these guys hump and rub mustaches, I'd be like, you know what, I'm out. Actually, when Kamala was president, I moved to another country. When Biden and Kamala were in charge, I left. September last year, I came back to the US because I was like, wait a minute. I found out people were lying to me that the race wasn't even close. It wasn't even about to be close. But I thought she was going to win because I kept listening to people that lied to me. Typically black people kept lying to me. Oh, Project 2025, Kamala's going to win. And I know a bunch of black people. And then I forgot. Black people lie about everything. Don't listen to black people, especially when it comes to politics. That's just a rule of thumb. And also when it comes to crime, they're going to lie to you about that too. While they're committing a crime against you, they'll be like, I'm not stabbing you. I'm not robbing you. As they're robbing you, you got to be careful with that too. You personally don't believe in space. Now I know, now I do, but hey, give me some of your hot takes. It's not there. Everything you think you know about space comes from, there's about 6 different people that have ever claimed to even have been there. I thought it would have been 1,000 people would have already been to space. I was wrong. The Hubble telescope is fake. All the terms that they just made up. A lot of it comes from a man named, he was a producer on Star Trek, The Next Generation. A lot of the science we believe in, it comes from that show. He made it up. It's all made up. Just like all the stories you think you know about slavery and why you believe that slavery even happened in the United States, it's all made up by a guy named Alex Haley in Roots. And then he was sued. And then he came out and said, well, yeah, I lost a lawsuit. Yes, I made a lot of it up. All the stories about black people being fed to babies and them being buck broken. There were like gay black men that had these homoerotic fantasies of white men dominating them and oppressing them. That's where all the talk of racism and oppression comes from. It's all homosexual terminology that these men who are authors, they write these stories and they're projecting their fantasies. And then you take it as stories about slavery and, victory and liberation. And it's not. It's just weird made up stories. But nobody wants to tell these people that it's just all fake. So the slavery stuff, the space stuff, it's all the same type of it comes from overactive imaginations from a very small group of people. But it's just like any other hustle. If you can't prove it happened, but you can't prove it didn't happen, then it just sits on the table for so long, people just start to believe it. It's unfortunate. No, we did not go to a moon. For one thing, you can't go to the moon if it's built into the wall. You can't land on it because you'll have to land sideways on the wall and stick to it like a fly. Also, the moon generates its own light, meaning that the surface of it is around 800 degrees Fahrenheit. So, I mean, there's no way to land on top of it without burning up, which would suck. Yeah, I mean, trust me, I wish some of this stuff was real. I used to be I was a physics major. I thought it was, and that's when I found out it was all fake. And I just can't believe the deception is that deep, but it is. So, and the same thing goes with a lot of the stuff we believe in politics. We're all believing in a bunch of fantasy BS that's not realistic. So, and we just got to do better. Actually, I have about 2 other topics I want to get into. I appreciate you guys all for tuning in. Battle, thank you for being here. Caden, thank you for participating. I appreciate you guys always. I'll be back in about 20 minutes with another subject. Remember, America first, America only.
I've been needing to find a new apartment, which has not been easy with credit as bad as mine. Luckily, I found cosigning.com. They connected me with a cosigner who helped me get my dream apartment for me and my dog. I just paid a small fee and was able to move in fast. Get the cosigner you need for the apartment you want. Check out cosigning.com.